Commander Nyota Patel stood at the observation deck of the Earth vessel Harbinger, watching the crystalline structures of the Meridian homeworld gleam beneath twin suns. Their cities looked like frozen waterfalls of light, testament to their mastery over energy and matter. After 2 centuries of isolation, humanity had finally found allies willing to defy the galactic hegemony's restrictions. Lieutenant Marcus Joe's voice came through the ship's comm system. Commander, incoming transmission from the hegemony oversight vessel. They're demanding we abort the diplomatic mission. Nyota's jaw tightened. For too long, the hegemony had kept humanity confined to their solar system, citing their aggressive tendencies and technological immaturity. But Earth had grown tired of their condescension. Maintain course, Lieutenant. We have a formal invitation from the Meridian Council. The Meridians were master energy manipulators, capable of harnessing stellar power in ways that made Earth's fusion reactors look primitive. More importantly, they'd reached out to Earth in secret, recognizing a kindred spirit in humanity's determination to progress despite hegemony restrictions. The Harbinger touched down in Crystallis, the Meridian capital. Nyota led her diplomatic team through corridors of living crystal, their footsteps creating subtle harmonics in the structure itself. First Minister Veridian, a tall being with crystalline formations growing from their shoulders, greeted them with a gesture of welcome. Commander Patel, we welcome Earth's representatives. Veridian's voice resonated like wind through crystal chimes. Though we must speak quickly, the hegemony's patience grows thin. In the private chambers of the council, Veridian revealed the truth. The hegemony isn't what they claim. They don't protect developing civilizations, they eliminate potential rivals. We've discovered evidence of dozens of species simply erased. Nyota's blood ran cold as Veridian shared their findings. The hegemony had systematically destroyed any civilization that developed technology that might challenge their dominance. The natural disasters and tragic accidents that had befallen so many promising species were nothing of the sort. We reached out to Earth because you've done something remarkable, Veridian continued. You've advanced despite their restrictions. Like us, you've found ways to innovate around their limitations. Together, we might have a chance to. The chamber's crystal walls suddenly resonated with a deep, threatening hum. Warning signals flashed across Nyota's tactical display. Multiple hegemony warships dropping out of FTL, Marcus reported urgently. They're charging weapons. Veridian's crystalline features paled. No, they're moving faster than we anticipated. Commander, you must warn Earth, the data crystal, take it. They pressed a complex geometric shape into Nyota's hand. Everything we've discovered, every atrocity we've documented, the galaxy must know the truth. The first bombardment hit like thunder, shattering the crystal spires of Crystallis. Nyota and her team ran for the Harbinger as the city began to collapse around them. Through the chaos, she saw hegemony ships methodically destroying every Meridian settlement, every power facility, every vessel attempting to escape. Get us out of here, Nyota ordered as they reached the bridge. Emergency jump protocols. The Harbinger broke atmosphere under heavy fire, its shields straining against hegemony weapons. As they prepared for FTL jump, Nyota watched in horror as the hegemony ships positioned themselves around the planet. Their combined weapons fire created a cascading reaction in the Meridian's power grid. The crystalline world began to crack like glass, energy containment failing catastrophically. Just before they jumped, Nyota witnessed the planet shatter, billions of lives snuffed out in an instant. The hegemony would call it an unfortunate accident, a technological civilization destroyed by their own ambition. But she knew the truth and she carried the evidence. As the Harbinger raced toward Earth, Nyota clutched the data crystal, its facets still humming with the last memories of a murdered civilization. Send an encrypted burst transmission to Earth Command, she ordered, her voice steel. Tell them everything. And begin analyzing that weapons data we collected. The hegemony just showed their true face and humanity needs to be ready. She stared into the stream of FTL space, remembering Veridian's final words. Together, we might have a chance. The Meridians were gone, but their sacrifice wouldn't be in vain. Earth would remember. Earth would prepare. And when the time came, Earth would bring the kind of firepower that would make the hegemony regret every civilization they'd erased from the stars. The Harbinger's crew worked in grim silence, each processing what they'd witnessed. Humanity had just been thrust into a war they never wanted, against an enemy that had dominated the galaxy for millennia. But if the hegemony thought humans would be their next victims, they were about to learn a harsh lesson about humanity's capacity for survival and revenge. The United Earth Defense Council chamber fell silent as the holographic projection faded. They had just witnessed the complete destruction of the Meridian civilization, transmitted from the Harbinger's data banks. Commander Nyota Patel stood before them, the recovered data crystal pulsing softly in a containment field beside her. Director Jun Nakamura, head of Earth Special Projects Division, rose from his seat. His weathered face showed no surprise, only grim vindication. It seems our paranoia was justified after all. Operation Prometheus can now be initiated. Across the chamber, General Diana Rodriguez slammed her fist on the table. We should have acted sooner. The Meridians reached out to us in trust, and we could have done nothing to save them, Nyota interrupted, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. Not then, but their sacrifice gives us something we never had before, proof of the hegemony's true nature and their technological vulnerabilities. Director Nakamura nodded, activating a secure holographic display. The chamber's lights dimmed as a three-dimensional map of the solar system appeared, then expanded to reveal hundreds of hidden installations scattered throughout the asteroid belt and beyond. For 50 years, while the hegemony thought they were keeping us contained, we were building. The display zoomed in on massive shipyards concealed within hollowed-out asteroids, weapons testing facilities hidden in the clouds of Jupiter, and research stations buried beneath the ice of Europa. Admiral Jackson Chen stepped forward, his cybernetic eye glowing as it interfaced with the display. The Prometheus fleet, 300 warships built in secret, incorporating every scrap of technology we could reverse engineer from abandoned hegemony wreckage. But more importantly, ships built with innovations they've never seen. The hologram shifted to show a sleek vessel unlike anything in Earth's official fleet. Its hull rippled with adaptive camouflage, and its weapon systems defied conventional design philosophy. The hegemony believes in overwhelming force, Admiral Chen continued. Their weapons are designed to shatter planets, but humanity, we've learned to be subtle. Our ships can slip through their defenses, strike from impossible angles, and disappear before they know what hit them. Nyota studied the ship's schematics, remembering the terrifying efficiency with which the hegemony had destroyed the Meridian homeworld. Will it be enough? Not alone, Director Nakamura admitted, but we're not planning to fight alone. He extracted a data chip from his terminal, displaying a network of covert communications. We've been in contact with other species who resist hegemony control. The Arxer, masters of biological engineering. The Vran, experts in quantum computing. Even some hegemony member species who have grown disillusioned with their masters. General Rodriguez's eyes narrowed. Can they be trusted? They can be trusted to want survival, Nyota said, thinking of Viridian's desperate final warning. The hegemony doesn't just control, it culls. Every advanced species lives in fear of being the next unfortunate accident. The council members exchanged looks. Humanity had prepared for this moment, but the reality of challenging the galaxy's dominant power was daunting. Earth's official population was 7 billion. The hegemony controlled thousands of worlds. Admiral Chen broke the tension with a cold smile. Numbers aren't everything. The hegemony has grown complacent. They rely on brute force and terror. But humanity, we've spent our entire history learning to fight smarter, not bigger. Director Nakamura touched a control, and the hologram showed a final image. Earth's solar system surrounded by a complex web of quantum sensors and stealth satellites. The hegemony believes they're coming to punish another upstart species. They don't realize they're walking into a trap 50 years in the making. Warning alerts flashed across the chamber's displays. Long-range sensors had detected a hegemony battle fleet entering the outer solar system. Dozens of ships, then hundreds, their energy signatures burning like angry stars against the void. They're not wasting any time, General Rodriguez observed. They mean to make an example of us. Nyota thought of the Meridians, their beautiful crystal cities now reduced to drifting space debris. No, she said firmly, we're going to make an example of them. Admiral Chen's cybernetic eye pulsed as he interfaced with Earth's defense grid. Prometheus fleet reporting ready, all ships show green status. Stealth systems active. Director Nakamura looked to the council. The hegemony believes they're here to execute justice. They don't realize they're about to face judgment themselves. He turned to Nyota. Commander Patel, given your experience with their tactics at Meridian, we're assigning you as tactical advisor to the fleet. Nyota nodded, her hand unconsciously touching the pocket where she kept a small crystal shard, a reminder of what they were fighting for. If we succeed, we won't just be saving Earth. We'll be avenging every civilization they've erased and protecting every species they plan to target next. The council chamber erupted into activity as Earth's hidden strength awakened. Throughout the solar system, asteroid bases opened like blooming flowers of steel and carbon fiber. Ships that had never seen real combat emerged from their secret berths, crews ready and weapons hot. Humanity had hoped this day would never come, but they had planned for it all the same. And now, as the hegemony fleet approached with their world-killing weapons, humanity prepared to teach them a lesson about underestimating lesser species. The war for galactic freedom was about to begin, and Earth intended to strike the first blow. The bridge of the Earth flagship Prometheus hummed with tension as Commander Nyota Patel studied the tactical display. The massive hegemony fleet had just passed Saturn's orbit, their formation spreading wide to envelope any possible escape routes. They had no idea they were about to hit Earth's invisible web of quantum mines and stealth destroyers. All ships maintain emission silence. Admiral Chen's voice came through on the quantum-encrypted channel. Let them come to us. Nyota watched the enemy advance, remembering the Meridian massacre. The hegemony's arrogance was their weakness. They never expected their victims to fight back effectively. The tactical display showed green dots representing Earth's hidden fleet, scattered throughout the solar system in a three-dimensional battle network. Each ship was equipped with revolutionary tech that Director Nakamura's teams had developed. Quantum-shifted shields that could deflect hegemony energy weapons, and gravity lance projectors that could tear through their supposedly impenetrable hulls. A new signal appeared on her console, a transmission using old Arxer encryption codes. Admiral, we're receiving a priority message from deep space. The holographic display flickered, revealing the serpentine form of war strategist SS Sarin of the Arxer Resistance. The time has come, humans. Our bioships have emerged from hibernation in the Uit cloud. We stand ready to join your attack. More signals began appearing. A Vran quantum burst transmission, an encrypted message from the Deltan underground. Species that had been silently gathering strength, waiting for a chance to strike back at their oppressors. Admiral Chen's cybernetic eye glowed as he processed the tactical implications. Send acknowledgement to all allies. Initiate Operation Thunderbolt. The trap was sprung. As the hegemony fleet crossed the designated threshold, quantum mines materialized from their phase-shifted state. But instead of detonating, they latched onto the enemy ships, releasing swarms of nanoscale disruptors that began eating through their shields. All ships execute attack pattern Delta, Nyota commanded. The Prometheus fleet decloaked in perfect synchronization, their gravity lances already charging. Remember your training, hit their command and control nodes first. The space around Saturn erupted in chaos. Earth ships darted through the hegemony formation like wolves among cattle, their smaller size and superior maneuverability making them nearly impossible to target. The enemy responded with their typical overwhelming force, filling space with enough energy fire to vaporize a continent. But humanity had planned for this. The quantum-shifted shields absorbed the brutal assault, while precision strikes from gravity lances carved through the hegemony's massive warships. From the Uit cloud, Arxer bioships emerged, their living hulls adapting to enemy fire patterns in real time. Vran quantum fighters appeared and disappeared, striking from dimensions the hegemony couldn't even perceive. Multiple hegemony capital ships disabled, reported Lieutenant Joe from his tactical station. Their formation is breaking apart. On the main viewer, Nyota watched a hegemony dreadnought split in half, its crew evacuating in panic as gravity lance fire disrupted its artificial gravity fields. The sight filled her with grim satisfaction. This was for the Meridians and every other species the hegemony had tried to erase. But the enemy wasn't finished. Their remaining ships began combining into their infamous Doomstar configuration, preparing to unleash their planet-killer weapon. They're desperate, Admiral Chen observed coolly. They mean to destroy Earth rather than admit defeat. Nyota smiled. Just as we predicted, Lieutenant Joe signaled the Vran, execute Phase 2. As the Doomstar's energy began building to catastrophic levels, dozens of Vran quantum bombs materialized inside its structure, having been phase-shifted through its shields. The massive construct began to tear itself apart from the inside. All ships clear the blast radius, Nyota ordered. The Allied fleet pulled back as the Doomstar imploded, taking a third of the remaining hegemony fleet with it. The rest, their command structure in chaos, began a disorganized retreat. But this was more than just a military victory. As the battle concluded, encoded transmissions poured in from across the galaxy. Other species, inspired by humanity's resistance, were rising up against their oppressors. The hegemony's grip on power was cracking. On the Prometheus's bridge, Admiral Chen received reports from their new allies. The Arxer had already launched attacks on hegemony biotechnology facilities. The Vran were disrupting their quantum communication networks. The Deltans were revealing hidden resistance cells on a dozen worlds. Send word to Earth Command, Chen ordered. First phase successful. The Liberation Fleet is ready to advance. Nyota studied the tactical display, watching the enemy ships flee. The hegemony had ruled through fear for millennia, making examples of any who dared resist. Now they were learning what it meant to be afraid. Set course for the Proxima Centauri staging area, she commanded. We'll link up with the rest of the resistance fleet there. She thought of the data crystal from Meridian, still pulsing with its evidence of hegemony atrocities. It's time to take this war to their doorstep. As the Prometheus jumped to FTL, Nyota knew this was just the beginning. The hegemony still controlled vast territories and resources, but they had lost something precious today, their aura of invincibility. The galaxy was changing, and humanity had struck the first spark of revolution. The war for liberation had begun, and there would be no going back. 6 months after the Battle of Saturn, the Prometheus fleet prowled the edges of hegemony space. Commander Nyota Patel stood on the bridge of the flagship, now decorated with battle scars from dozens of engagements. The tactical display showed hundreds of Allied ships gathered for their most ambitious operation yet, the liberation of the Centauri cluster, home to 7 enslaved species. Latest intelligence from Vran Deep Space Sensors, Lieutenant Joe reported. Hegemony forces are concentrated around their primary stronghold on Centauri Prime. They're expecting a direct assault. Admiral Chen's cybernetic eye flickered as he processed the data. Then let's not disappoint them. Begin Operation Shadowfall. Director Nakamura's voice came through the quantum comm. The prototype is ready, Commander. You have my authorization to deploy Project Phoenix. Nyota nodded grimly. Earth scientists had been working on this technology since before the war began, a way to turn the hegemony's own power against them. Signal all ships. Commence Phase 1. The Liberation Fleet dropped out of FTL in a massive show of force, drawing the hegemony's attention. But this was merely the decoy. As the enemy moved to engage, smaller ships slipped through their lines using Earth's quantum shift technology. Strike teams away, Joe confirmed, beginning infiltration of Centauri Prime's defense grid. On the planet below, Special Forces teams led by General Rodriguez were already moving into position. Their mission: to contact the resistance cells among the enslaved populations and distribute Earth's most revolutionary creation, the Liberation Protocol. Nyota watched as the main battle unfolded. The hegemony had adapted to some of their earlier tactics, but humanity had continued to innovate. Arxer bioships launched swarms of microscopic organisms that invaded enemy vessels through their propulsion exhaust. Vran quantum fighters executed impossible maneuvers, appearing inside hegemony ships' shields to deliver devastating strikes. Enemy fleet responding exactly as predicted, Admiral Chen noted. They're activating their planetary defense system. Nyota allowed herself a small smile. Perfect, initiate Project Phoenix. Throughout the Centauri cluster, hidden quantum receivers activated. These devices, secretly planted by resistance fighters over months of preparation, began broadcasting a signal that Earth scientists had discovered by studying the Meridian data crystal, the fundamental frequency of hegemony control technology. The effect was immediate and devastating. Across Centauri Prime, hegemony control systems began to malfunction. Their energy weapons turned against their own shields. Their quantum communication network dissolved into chaos. The Liberation Protocol spread like a virus through their systems, giving control back to the oppressed species who had been forced to operate them. Multiple uprisings reported across the cluster, Joe announced, his voice tight with excitement. The enslaved species, they're taking back their worlds. The hegemony fleet fell into disarray as their own weapons turned against them. Ships commanded by enslaved crews suddenly changed allegiance, their weapons targeting their former masters. Centuries of technological domination were being undone in a matter of hours. On her tactical display, Nyota watched as green dots representing liberated ships joined their fleet. The hegemony had built their empire on stolen technology and forced labor. Now those same tools were becoming instruments of their destruction. Message from General Rodriguez, Joe reported. Ground teams have secured the main control centers. The Centauri species are free. Admiral Chen's expression remained steady, but satisfaction gleamed in his cybernetic eye. Send word to Earth Command. The Centauri cluster is liberated. Request permission to proceed with Phase 2. As the battle concluded, Nyota received transmissions from the freed worlds. Species that had been enslaved for generations were reclaiming their destiny. The hegemony had forced them to build weapons and warships. Now they would use that knowledge to fight for freedom. Commander, Joe called out, incoming transmission from the Arxer fleet. War strategist SS Sarin reports similar successes in the Orion sector. The Liberation Protocol is working beyond our expectations. Nyota thought of the Meridians, how their sacrifice had given Earth the key to understanding hegemony technology. Their deaths had not been in vain. Each liberated world was another blow against the empire that had erased them. Set course for the Carina Nexus, she ordered. The hegemony is falling back to their core worlds. We're going to show them nowhere is safe. The Prometheus fleet jumped to FTL, leaving behind worlds tasting freedom for the first time in centuries. But this victory was more than military, it was a revolution of hope. Throughout the galaxy, oppressed species were rising up, inspired by humanity's example. The hegemony had ruled through technological superiority and fear. But they had never faced an enemy like humanity, a species that turned weaknesses into strengths, that transformed tools of oppression into weapons of liberation. As her ship accelerated toward their next target, Nyota knew the war was far from over. But the balance had shifted. The hegemony was no longer fighting to maintain control, they were fighting for survival. And humanity had shown the galaxy that even the mightiest empire could fall when faced with the unstoppable power of freedom. The ancient halls of the hegemony's throne world, Primarch, had never seen anything like this. Commander Nyota Patel led the combined fleet of Earth and its allies through the system's defenses, past the wreckage of what had once been the mightiest armada in the galaxy. The Liberation Protocol had spread across the stars like wildfire, dismantling the hegemony's power piece by piece. Multiple energy signatures detected in the capital city, Lieutenant Joe reported. They're activating something massive. Admiral Chen's cybernetic eye flared with sudden concern. Analysis confirms it's their doomsday weapon. They mean to take the entire sector with them. Typical, Nyota muttered. The hegemony's final gambit, if they couldn't rule the galaxy, they would try to destroy it. But humanity had planned for this too. All ships execute Formation Omega, she commanded. Deploy the Harmony Network. This was Director Nakamura's masterpiece, a synthesis of Earth ingenuity, Arxer biotech, and Vran quantum science. As the Allied fleet moved into position, crystalline structures emerged from their ships, linking together in a pattern that mirrored the one Nyota had seen in the Meridian cities so long ago. War strategist SS Sarin's bioships extended tendrils of living metal connecting with the network. The pattern is stable, we are ready. The surface of Primarch erupted with apocalyptic energy as the hegemony activated their ultimate weapon. A wave of destructive force expanded outward, powerful enough to shatter planets and extinguish stars. But when it hit the Harmony Network, something extraordinary happened. The destructive energy was caught, channeled, and transformed. The very physics that the hegemony had used to dominate the galaxy for millennia became the key to their undoing. Network holding steady, Joe announced. Energy redirection successful. The combined fleet pushed forward, their ships protected by the Harmony Network. On the planet below, the hegemony's weapons fell silent. Their technology, built on principles of destruction and domination, couldn't comprehend the cooperative symphony of the allied races' combined science. Ground teams are away, General Rodriguez reported from her assault ship. Resistance forces on the surface are rising up. The capital city's defenses are collapsing. Nyota watched as the hegemony's last fortress fell, not through overwhelming force, but through the united strength of the species they had tried to keep divided. The Liberation Protocol had done more than free enslaved worlds, it had shown the galaxy a better way. The final battle was swift. The hegemony leadership, hidden in their supposedly impregnable bunkers, found themselves facing former slaves armed with their own technology. Their guards, many of them from subjugated species, turned against them. In less than a day, the empire that had ruled for thousands of years ceased to exist. Standing in the hegemony's Grand Council chamber, Nyota felt a deep sense of completion. Representatives from dozens of liberated species were gathering, preparing to build something new from the ashes of empire. Admiral Chen approached, holding a data crystal, the same one that had been rescued from Meridian. The archives are secure. Everything the hegemony tried to hide, every civilization they erased will be remembered. Director Nakamura's hologram appeared, his face showing rare emotion. The Harmony Network was successful beyond our expectations. We've proven that cooperation is stronger than domination. War strategist SS Sarin slithered forward, their bio-augmented form rippling with approval. The humans have shown us the way, not through conquest but through liberation, not through fear but through hope. The gathered representatives began to discuss the future. The hegemony's stolen technology would be returned to its rightful creators. The secrets of the Harmony Network would be shared freely. A new galactic council would be formed, one where all species had an equal voice. Message from Earth Command, Joe announced. They're asking about the status of the operation. Nyota looked out over the assembly of freed species, remembering the crystalline cities of Meridian now avenged. Tell them that the fire of freedom burns bright across the stars. In the years that followed, the galaxy underwent a transformation. The Liberation Protocol evolved into a platform for sharing knowledge and technology. The Harmony Network became a symbol of cooperation, its principles applied to everything from terraforming to interstellar travel. Earth, once isolated and restricted, became a beacon of innovation and progress. But humanity never forgot the lessons learned in their fight for freedom. They maintained their vigilance, their determination, and their commitment to protecting the rights of all sentient beings. The age of the hegemony was over. A new era had begun, one built not on the erasing of civilizations, but on the celebration of their differences. One where the combined strength of many peoples reaching for the stars together would carry them all further than any empire could have dreamed. Commander Nyota Patel would later write in her memoirs, "The hegemony thought they could erase our friends, break our spirit, and keep humanity contained. Instead, they taught us the most important lesson of all, that in unity there is unimaginable strength, and that the fiercest fire of all is the fire of freedom, burning in the hearts of those who dare to fight for it."